Hello, this is Chair Chat number 11. In this video, I'm going to talk about my young days in South Philadelphia. Now, as you know, I'm born and raised in West Philadelphia. When my mother caught wind of the fact that, I thought I wanted to be an artist. So she would send me to spend some of the summer with her twin sister. And my aunt would send us to art school. So that would be myself and her oldest, who was my age, Bo. Now Bo had a younger brother about my brother's age, my younger brother's age. And then there was their youngest brother, who would have been my youngest brother's age, but he, had passed. But anyway, so now there's art school. Now they lived 13th and Fitzwater. That's the projects there. And now, of course, projects have a stigma, but I don't really know what that's like now. I mean, South Philly was definitely a little rougher than what we were used to. In West Philly, there was just kind of a neighborhood, environment. But when you talk about where they live, 13th and Fitzwater, that area, there were like 3 projects, which means you're going to have that many more people, which means that it's definitely likely to have more kinds of turmoil when there is, because there's just more people. And, so occasionally, the cops, are there and, you hear it, the sirens. Now, they lived on the 9th floor, so you can look out the window and watch everything going on and, watching everybody scurry, into the projects. But, as far as my aunt goes, when you walked into, their dwelling, it was a whole different world in there. I mean, she was... They had a very nice dwelling. She and my mother both would have been described by the men of their time as classy broads, and indeed, they certainly were. My aunt carried her classiness a little differently than my mom. My mom kind of was, almost a little bit more bohemian, let's say, where my aunt, if you didn't know any better, you would have thought that she was from Brooklyn and very, very wealthy. I mean, she just had this thing about her. And now they are identical. And even with us kids, sometimes, we would have to, take a second look or, so it's the little distinguishing things that were very important. So, for example, my aunt, you weren't going to give her any kind of mess at all. So from a kid's perspective, she seemed a lot meaner than my mom. But the only thing, and I'm not really sure why, I guess, when you're that classy and all this stuff, you just have this demeanor and you just know better to just don't even think about it. My mom, on the other hand, gave the illusion that you could think about it, but then you're sorry you did. So anyway, so getting to school, my cousin and I, this was an ordeal because 13th and Fitzwater, the school was in Society Hill, which meant, you're going to walk down, it's like Fitzwater is parallel to South Street. South Street is a very, very famous area now. Well, it was then, but not like it is now. It's Neon City. Then it seemed like South Street started like on 9th Street. Now it stretches, way further back. I don't know, probably even 13th Street now is, all Neon City as well. I don't know. But first, we had to get through, certain neighborhoods which had their own gangs. Oh man, let me tell you something. So, there you are. Now you're facing, this gang. And one of the things you would almost always hear, no matter where you were, that is North Philly, West Philly, anything, is if you're accosted by, either a group of guys, a gang of guys, or a bully, or, whatever, the thing that you would hear is, they would say, yo, man, where you from, man? And then you're thinking, you're pausing, thinking, maybe I can think of something, that, will work and they won't beat me up if they like where I'm from. So you come up with something, 14th Street? Wrong answer, brother. So now it's over. So the only thing to do, is, we got to run. So I will turn to my cousin and say, let's run. And he's already halfway down the block. So it's like, okay. So great. So now you're running, but you find refuge eventually. Now you're in a different neighborhood. It turns out it's the Italian neighborhood, and you figure you got some time to catch your breath. But then, now you're seen by the Italian kids, and it's like the same thing again. Hey, where you from? So now you're getting chased to art school. Oh, man. And but one of the things that was very, very amusing to us when we would go for walks, particularly on South Street, is there was a shop there on South Street that was, it was kind of like a voodoo shop. They sold all this voodoo stuff or something in a window. I mean, in a window, it's all dusty looking, and I can't tell you what half of that stuff was, but I do note that there were like 3 shrunken heads in these jars that looked like it was filled with formaldehyde or something like that, that yellowish looking water. And, so there's these shrunken heads in there, and the mouth is tied up with string. I mean, boy, it was just really, really creepy, Never walked in that shop. Who would want to go in there? I mean, probably a politician. And and I think maybe like 15 years or something like that later, I'm back in South Philly, going for the walk, probably taking my family, for a walk. Yeah, this is the old neighborhoods and all this stuff. And that darn shop was still there. But think about it, if you got a shop and there's like shrunken heads in the window with the mouth, all sewed up and everything, who's going to tell this guy to move? You got to move. The next thing there's some kid and his mom looking in a window and like, Mom, look, there's a pickled politician. So it's like, no, that guy is still there, but they're too afraid to tell him to leave. And so anyway, we make it down to 9th Street. We're on South. Make it down to 9th Street. Make a right. Now we'll walk. Now finally we make it to Society Hill. That's where the school is. And so it was then when I went to art school that I realized that, well, I guess I don't want to be an artist. We would go out for walks. I mean, it was nice. I certainly didn't excel at it like my cousin did because he was just natural. So you go for walks and you'd have to, draw things that you saw and all that. And in the class itself, we had a project where there's a bike in the room and we have to draw this bike, but you can't look at the canvas. You draw, but you can't look at the canvas. My drawing actually made the exhibit, and I was really, really proud of that. Anyway, after when the class was dismissed, it was a little stressful because we knew that we had to go through all that crap in reverse. In other words, the Italian neighborhood, chasing you to the black neighborhood, and then you run, and finally, you're back in your own neighborhood. Oh boy, so much to tell, so many stories. I will leave you with that. If you can make a donation, that would be so wonderful. So for now, let me say that I will leave a companion song in the description box, and called Dreaded Days, which I sing about this. But anyway, for now, I will see you next time.